So our Bible reading this week is from 1 Samuel 25. If you don't have a Bible, grab one and go take a look at that text. I'm wondering, Jeff, how many times people have, you're already laughing because you know where I'm going with this. How many times people have grabbed the text for the reading and thought, zealous for good deeds.
Yeah, why are we here?
Where is this one going? So I must confess, Nabal and Abigail and David.
Yep.
And so you got to wonder how, and y'all know we can do it. The curiosity is, how is Jeff going to make this connection between Nabal, Abigail, and David and being zealous for good deeds?
Yep. And so, yeah, it's real simple. The story here is about doing good deeds for those who don't deserve it in our judgment, or we might be tempted to think that way.
You see Abigail doing that.
I see Abigail doing this because in the story, remember, she really saves two men from themselves, both her husband Nabal and David, in that Nabal has wronged David. David, in his bad temper, has decided to go and slaughter Nabal's household, which is an unjust thing to do in response to what's been done to him. And Abigail, realizing what's going on, takes the food and the things that Nabal owes David, humbly goes and presents them to David and bows down before him.
She intercedes.
David comes to his senses and realizes, in fact, he literally says in verse 32, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. Blessed be your discretion, and blessed be you who have kept me this day from blood guilt and from working salvation with my own hand." And so here's David acknowledging he was out of control, about to do something reckless and violent he had no divine right to do in his anger and his temper. And so Abigail saves David from acting for himself, and in so doing saves Nabal's life, right? Because David admits, if you hadn't stopped me, I would have come and killed him, and more than him. And so, but the twist, David, is, Abigail admits, and as you read the story, her husband Nabal is a fool, and she doesn't mean that disrespectfully. She's just acknowledging in a difficult moment,
acknowledging reality.
That's right. Welcome to my world, David. It's not so much. I don't think we're meant to read this disrespectfully as to say, she knows exactly what her husband is, and so here's the kicker: she could have easily. I don't think marriage to Nabal was probably a really enjoyable thing for Abigail. She could have very easily, stepped aside and let David, slaughter everybody, and then her husband's gone, and she's not living this, with this difficult man anymore. She knows who and what he is. She does right to him and David simply because it's the right thing to do. And I think that's our takeaway, David, is that we do right because we're doing it for God, not for people who deserve it necessarily.
So what you've really done by choosing this is you have zeroed in on and identified one of the obstacles to our serving,
that's right,
and doing good for others.
That's right.
And that is our own self-righteous sense that they are undeserving.
Absolutely.
For whatever reason, be it that they have been offensive to us, or they're just generally, like Nabal, a wicked, worthless person in our judgment. And so we decide, I don't feel any sense of responsibility to do good to them. It sounds like the Sermon on the Mount becomes really relevant here, where Jesus talks about loving your enemies, and he makes that point.
And doing good to those who do not do good to you.
At the end of Matthew 5, if you just do good to people who do good to you, what are you doing?
That's not different from the world.
Yeah, people who don't follow me do that.
That's right.
It's people who love their enemies like I have, who are really becoming like me. So you shall be perfect, Jesus says, as I am. That's what he says in the sermon.
Absolutely.
So that idea we see in Abigail now, in what she's willing to do both for David and for her husband. I think the challenge is for me and you to ponder who is there in our life that we would just rather ignore.
That's right.
So maybe someone in the family, or someone in the church family, or an ungodly, wicked coworker. And it isn't that we're unkind.
Right.
How about just reversing that and say, we're not kind, we're just sort of
indifferent.
Ambivalent toward it. Someone said that the opposite of love is not hate.
It's indifference.
It's indifference.
Absolutely.
And so as those responsible to show the love of Christ, our good deeds shouldn't be limited to, just those who we feel are deserving. It's, I guess, as we have opportunity, do good to all men is the call.
Yeah, that's right.
So as we think about our good deeds, maybe that opens up a new category for us to consider, being good to those who are undeserving. Let's ponder that as we read this week.